Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, Executive Editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow room as I fill it up in reverse alphabetical order. You know, these videos from down here in the depths have been very well received, and I appreciate it very much. But it occurred to me in thinking about it, you know, why is anybody interested in like tens of thousands of CDs sitting in like my basement, which is where they'll be eventually, formerly my barn. And it occurred to me, you know, so many of us got to know the classics and really began to, you know, enjoy collecting, particularly when we were able to hang out at record stores that had large classical music sections that were dedicated to that sort of thing. I mean, my foundling place was Cutler's Records in New Haven, which I've talked about many times. And then there was Record Masters in the Rotunda in Baltimore when I was in college. And of course, Tower Records when I was in California, and then later all over the country. And then HMV and Borders and Barnes and Noble. And they all had these fabulous classical selections. And those were in the days when you could actually encompass the catalog in a classical department. You could go there and hang out, and you could just see everything that was available. And even if you didn't want to buy it, at least you knew it existed. It was fun, and it was sociable, and it was really an educational experience. And now there's nothing. I mean, yeah, you could sit on your computer all by yourself and browse through, you know, tons of unknown names and things like that on you know, streaming services, but it's not the same. It's nothing like the same. Not least because, at least in those places, you had a knowledgeable pool of people you could talk to. Employees, customers, all kinds of people. It was really fun. So I hope that in my own pitiful way that we're sort of replicating that experience, at least one letter of the alphabet at a time. And so we're at the letter Y. We're in the middle of the letter Y, and I have a bunch of weird Ys. I mean, these are strange Ys, I must say. We begin with, I had no place else to put it, the Yellow River Concerto. Remember that? It was sort of the piano counterpart to the Butterfly Lovers Violin Concerto. It was written by a committee, a communist committee in communist China. This is the original version, like as if we knew that there was a revised version or cared. It's tuneful, Chinese, you know. It sounds like the kind of music that a Western Orientalist composer would write. And so it's a Chinese authentic Orientalist writing Western music, sort of, kind of. Anyway, it's fun to listen to. And we've got Inner Mongolian folk songs and the Mermaid Ballet Suite and a bunch of other little arrangements and variations on an ancient Chinese melody by various people. This is on Naxos. It's with Yin Shengzong piano and the Slovak Radio Symphony Orchestra with Adrian Leeper, and it's fun. I kept it. I mean, you remember, something that's in the overflow room is not overflowing because there's something bad. It's there because it's good, and I just didn't have space in a one-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn to keep it. So it was a keeper. Then we have, oh, this is really fun. We have a couple of the Japanese music series that Naxos had going. This is Akiyoshi Yashiro. There's a full review of this disc on ClassicsToday.com, which I strongly suggest you read. Yashiro was a very, very good, very craftsman-like composer. He didn't have a long life. He lived from 1929 to 1976, and he studied with Nadia Boulanger and Messiaen. And who do you think he sounds like? Yes, exactly. Those people. And very nicely, sort of crossed, I think I wrote in the review, between, you know, sort of like Ravel and Dutilleux or something like that. It's French-inspired music. And it's quite marvelous. The piano concerto is delightful. It's not tuneful. It's more texture-based music, but very evocative. And the symphony is really a good piece. It's just a good piece. I mean, it's even got bits of Sibelius thrown into it. You know, it's fun. It's derivative, but it's fun. And it's very, very well crafted and beautifully performed here by, let's see, Hiromi Okada, piano, and the Ulster Orchestra under Takuo Yuasa. First-rate stuff. Akiyoshi Yashiro is a find. And if you like those composers, Messiaen and Dutilleux and people like that, and the French school, you're going to like this guy. There he is, if you want to look it up and make a note of it. Really, really, really good stuff. So that's fun. And then I have 3 discs here featuring American composer James Yanatos with the Harvard Radcliffe Orchestra, with himself usually conducting. I'm not a big fan, quite frankly, but these discs, which were on Albany for the most part, well, two of them are on Albany, and one is on some strange label called AFCA or something like that. I have no idea what that is. But you've got the Hinestera Harp Concerto and Copland's Clarinet Concerto and Yannatos' Rituals Images, a fantasy for orchestra and tape, which I found completely forgettable. But the other things interested me. The thing about Yannatos is his style runs the gamut. You know, some of it's sort of gnarly, dissonant, and some of it's very approachable, and you don't know which is which. And as I said in the reviews of some of this stuff, also on Classics Today, some of these things, that none of it's particularly memorable. But I kept it because that has this one, which has his concerto for string quartet and orchestra, and his Prisms Symphony No. 3 also contains Piston's Third Symphony, which you're not going to find anywhere else. So I have it for the piston. I mean, I filed it under Yannatos because he's mostly Yannatos on here. This is on Albany. The concerto for string quartet and orchestra is a little bit long for its material, but it's probably the best piece of his here. The symphony left no impression on me at all, but maybe it will you, who knows. And then we've got his piano concerto with William Dotman piano, and his symphony No. 4, Tiananmen Square. Oh dear, ending with past strife, future hope. No. We're not going there. This is also on Albany. I mean, there are just some things that I find distastefully opportunistic when composers attempt to embody them in a musical setting, which they can't possibly do. At least not until 1,000 years afterwards, maybe, when nobody remembers it. You know, although now we have pictures and photos, we know what it looked like, we know what really happened. I just don't know why they do it. I think it's embarrassing, and there's that. So that was Yannatos. And then we have another Japanese composer, which I can't even possibly pronounce. It's got diacritical marks. But let's try anyway. Kosaku Yamada, or Kosaku Yamada, something like that. And Yamada was one of the earliest Japanese composers to write for Western orchestra. He was the earliest composer, I think, to write for Western orchestra. He lived from 1886 to 1965. He studied with Max Bruch, in Berlin. And his music, on this disc anyway, is almost wholly derivative. The overture in D major from 1912 sounds like it was written in 1850. The symphony in F major, subtitled Triumph and Peace, no. It doesn't do either of those things. And again, it's completely uninteresting. But then, a year later, after he bored us with the overture and the symphony, he does this symphonic poem, The Dark Gate, and another one called Madara no Hana. And now he's caught up to the universe of Wagner and Strauss, and things begin to get more interesting. But what sort of distressed me about this disc is that all of this stuff is early. It's very, very early. He lived till 1965. It would be very, very interesting to get a disc of his later work. There probably are some in Japan that I don't know about or haven't heard. And perhaps see where he went stylistically, because just in a year he was going like gangbusters. So that's awfully interesting. And so there we have it. A bunch of kind of interesting whys in the Overflow room. And we'll be back for more quite shortly. So keep on listening, friends. Thank you for joining me. Take care.